Welcome to the Landy Peak podcast. I'm your host and friend, Landy Peak, and I am thrilled to have you join me. In each episode, we will explore what makes life truly fulfilling: happiness, deep connections, and self-discovery. Together, we'll uncover that happiness is not a destination, but a way of living. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to the Landy Peak podcast. This is your host and friend, Landy Peak. And today we're continuing our Mustang Summer series. And I'm sharing a little bit about how it's going with Denny and the understanding that there are so many ways to teach a horse, to do different things. And sometimes we tend to get set in there's just one way. Right? There's the right way and then there's the wrong way. And it really depends on you, the horse, your situation, and your belief system. And so as I've been playing with Denny, we have gained a lot in the last week, we have confidence. So we've gotten in 2 different trailers and gone over bridges, had obstacle courses. She's doing great. As we're bringing out and throwing things at her, not literally throwing, but bringing out for her to try new and different things, she's really handling what we're bringing out. And we work slow. And I'm really in tune with her body cues to see, are we okay with this? And it's a dance. And so I was working with another trainer who was in the Mustang Challenge with me today and just talking horses and kind of how I've been working with Denny. And it's a little bit different than how she's been working with her horse. And what you'll find if you put a bunch of people doing anything, right, you're gonna find differences. And it's too easy, I think, to get set in the one way. And so as I was sharing my philosophies, my beliefs, the things that I am doing with Denny, because she wanted to come out and see how I'm working with Denny so she could learn. And one of the things, that we brought up is I talked about I keep a very loose lead on Denny. My hand is not up at where the halter and the lead rope meet. It is really loose most of the time. And she was taught to keep a really firm hand right at the base of the halter where the lead rope is attached. And so it was just talking about kind of differences. And she's like, but this trainer told me that this is the way to do it. And it really got us in the discussion of there are so many different ways that we can train, and it goes with our internal philosophies. And I think this carries over for anything that we do in life because we put our blinders on and we get into the space and stage of this is the only way to do it. This is the right way and the other ways are the wrong way. And there is no right or wrong for most things, right? There's a variety of ways that we can do and work with anything in our lives. So I'm going to keep it to horses, but I want you to think about how in your life are you keeping it has to be just this way and there's no other possibility and this is the right way and everything else is wrong, because we do this in our life. And when we kind of open up and step back and are able to see, okay, there's different ways. So as we worked this morning, I have more experience with horses than this person. And so I'm talking and teaching kind of how I'm working with Denny. So as we introduce something that is new to Denny or something that she already doesn't like, and we're working to be able to like it, what I did is I showed her as I brought, so using the example of fly spray. Denny does not like fly spray. And the reason she doesn't like fly spray is we'd done fly spray, we'd worked up to it, We'd done everything in sequential, like here's the bottle, we're fine with the bottle, I can move the bottle as I would fly spraying around you. I can spray beside you. We'd gotten to the point where I could fly spray her, and I fly sprayed her 2 days in a row. And then as I was fly spraying her, she spooked from something else that happened in the environment, and she associated the scared feeling with the fly spray. So now she hates fly spray. So we're back to square one. So I let it go for a long time and said, we're just not doing fly spray. And that's just not what we're working on. And then I found out that fly spray is part of the showcase that we will do at the end. So we have an obstacle course that we have to go through. There's a set obstacle course every horse will do. And so fly spray's in there. I've got to start bringing it back. So pretending she's never had an experience with fly spray, but also knowing in the back of my head that there is an issue with fly spray, I got a completely different bottle. And so we've been playing with, can I move this bottle around you? And I give treats. Yes, yes, good. That's amazing. And then we move it and we move it. Yes, yes, yes. Can I spray it beside her? Can I spray it beside her? We're building up to the ability to spray fly spray on her. I'm not going to start with fly spray because it could be a smell. It could be the feel of it on her. It could be the sound of it, right? And I also know she has an association negatively with something that happened. And so I can fly spray a brush right next to her and I can brush her with the fly spray. So we're kind of going in all avenues of reintroducing it, and we're doing it slow. And as I'm doing it, I'm watching. Does she have any shift in her body at all when I lift the bottle up? If I lift the bottle up and her ear cocks, I'm pausing, not necessarily backing off, but I'm pausing saying, I see you. I see that form of communication. I'm going to pause. Sometimes I back off depending on what the reaction is. If it's a little bit bigger, she has this head cock, or she tilts her head and cocks her ear. And that is her like, I don't like this. So watching her body language, I now know her cue to be, it's her tell. This is, I'm not okay with this. If we keep going, there's going to be behaviors. So it's me really watching that and taking that as communication. And so then I back off and then I bring it in and we're working until she's okay. So it is a slow process as we're dancing together in, I saw that form of communication. You cocked your ear, you tipped your head, you looked away. All of that kind of moving in to be able to bring in something new to see if she's okay with it. I'm also praising with any little micro thing and giving treats if it's feeling hard and stressful, because we want to pair the association of this is okay and this is good with whatever it is. So we no longer have that negative association. So I've walked through all of this and you'll notice, like, I think in anything, but in the horse world, there are some of that, we'll go with parenting because I think that relates more with everybody. We have the parenting styles of you do it my way or the highway. Like it is no option. We're going to force it. It is going to be this way. There's nothing else that you can do. And then we have the parents that are more in the negotiation and we're watching, and tuning in. Is this a stress response to our kids? Is this just a like, F you, I don't want this? Is this, we're setting boundaries and it's not a black and white. Every time we're going to do it the way I ask, can we negotiate? And there's parents that are a lot more, you get to figure it out on your own. And I might be here to support you. And there's kind of more hands-off parenting, right? There's different parenting styles. There's different ways to teach a horse. So as we kind of look in, and there's nuances, because I don't believe there is one style of parenting or teaching a horse that is for every horse and every body. I don't think we can say, okay, I am just using this guru's ideas and I will use only their ideas and nobody else's ideas. And I see this. I see this in parenting. I see this in the therapy world with therapists who are like, I am only using this person's way in the exact way that they say. And as a therapist, I've always gone into the courses that I've taken and say, I'm going to create the Landy way. I'm going to hydrate or pick through and say, I like this part of it, and I'm going to take this part of it, and I'm going to utilize this part of it. I'm not trying to be a mini version of whoever it is that I am loving their stuff. So same with horses. I absolutely love Warwick Schiller's information and the way he's doing things. I'm also not trying to be Warwick Schiller. I'm not trying to do it exactly the way that he does every time. And I'm also looking at who is the horse that I have today, which is very Warwick Schiller. But it's not a one size fits all. It's who is the kid I have today? Who is the me I have today? We can't just say, this is the way it is. So I was talking to my dad, and I was talking about, I am looking for my own mentors in the horse world. And as a kid, I took lessons. I had my parents who were there and horse people and were teaching me. And I did take a lot of lessons as well from other people and learned a phenomenal amount from all of those other people. And each person had a little bit different way to do it. And I picked up things from each person and now as I am training, I am coming back to some of those early mentors and going, oh my gosh, that is how I'm going to bring that in, because I've seen it, I felt it, I experienced it. And so now it's that time that's like, that makes sense. I'm going to bring it in. So I was talking to my dad about finding mentors. And we were talking about, if you have a specific problem, I want somebody who can coach me, not train my horse, coach me in how to think through and problem solve all of the different things that are going on to be able to get to that situation. And he had the example of like a doctor. And, if you're specializing in a certain medical practice, like that is your viewpoint. If you're a surgeon, your viewpoint is typically surgery is going to fix it. If you are, a chiropractor, then your viewpoint is chiropractic is probably going to fix it. Now, is one right or wrong? No. We're looking at different viewpoints coming in. And what I want is somebody that can take the big picture and say, oh, chiropractic is great in these circumstances, and I want that to be a part of my experience. But in this circumstance, yes, surgery is going to come in, but it's not going to be the end all be all. And his example was, you want somebody that doesn't see a nail and says, okay, we need a hammer. We want somebody that sees the nail and then sees what the nail is in, and then can be able to say, what is the best way to handle the nail? Because if the nail is in your foot and you see nail and hammer, and that's the only association, right, you're going to make things worse. We need to remove the nail. But if the nail is in halfway out of a board that needs to be fixed, then we want the hammer to be able to push the nail in. Thinking in working with horses or kids or in therapy, we want those people that have the ability to step back and see the bigger problem and not just focus on the part. You'll hear a lot of therapists say, me included, we need to work with the whole person, not just the part of you that is struggling. If you have a knee injury, we don't want to just focus on your knee because your knee is also connected to the rest of you. So what is going on with the ankle? What is going on in the foot? What's going on in the hip? Right? We want to see the big picture. Total side tangent, but when we're working with the horse and in therapy, those are my two worlds. I see so many people with the blinders on of this is the only way. And I just want to talk about there's so many more ways, and being able to step back and look and be able to tune in and regulate your own nervous system. So the person I was working with this morning, She was tuning in, and she was very worried about her horse spooking at the obstacles that we were bringing in. And so her fear was carrying over to the horse, and he wasn't afraid. But it was interesting as she tried to lead him over the splash pad. And so I have this splash pad that I have for my kids. It's thicker than a tarp. It doesn't crinkle and flip like a tarp. So it's our good starting base of we can walk over something and it's okay. So when she was going to walk over the splash pad, she was actually pulling him off of it subconsciously. But I walked with her with it, and her hand is pulling his head sideways. So every time they'd walk up to the splash pad, he would miss it. And it wasn't him. It was her energy. So the way that I've worked with Denny, the way that I was taught, once she has been acclimated to this splash pad. So she has smelled the splash pad. She has So Denny smelled the splash pad. She actually picked it up with her teeth. She has walked around it. We have had it in the round pen with us. It is sat there. We have walked up to it. We have stood in front of it. Right. We have built this. It is here. It is okay. It is not moving. I have walked over it. My kids have walked over it. I use my kids as examples all the time. And if I have another horse to be an example, I use the horse because we, just like horses, learn from each other. And if you have somebody that's confident going ahead and they're like, not a big deal, the horse goes, not a big deal. I have Instagram videos and reels on Porter getting in the trailer. And so we did Porter in the trailer. Porter's the other horse being boarded with Denny, who's the yearling in the Mustang Challenge. And he couldn't get in the trailer. I mean, it's big. You're going in this big tin can. It rattles, it shifts, it moves. It's totally scary. I get it. So when Denny went in, she had the trust with me, and she knew we were okay. So she trusted that I was going in the trailer. She was okay to do it too. I didn't also just start her and let's go in. I had another horse that was out there. And so the owner of the property that we were there, she let us get out one of her other horses, Dougie. Dougie went in the trailer first, and Dougie came out of the trailer. So she saw, this is not a big deal. So then when I came out to the trailer with her, she actually hopped in and was like, this is not a big deal. And then he also rewarded and gave her treats inside of this is okay, this is okay. So when Porter was struggling, we'd done the same thing we'd done with Denny, and I had to use Denny going in and coming out. Porter was still scared. So we took Denny in first and kept her in the trailer with me. And then Porter could come in and went in. And we did a couple of times with Porter coming in with Denny inside before he was confident enough to say, this is okay. We are good. So I'm jumping back to the splash pad. She had been exposed, but then I wanted her to come with me. So as I wanted her to come with me, I go to lead her across, and I walk right through the middle, and she stops at the edge, and the lead rope is tight. And so I'm not pulling on her face. I am just holding steady pressure because I kept moving and she stopped. So then I stopped, but I didn't release the pressure. Now she's already explored it. And so I kept the pressure, and then she's like, fine. Release the pressure means she moves forward. Forward means stepping on the tarp. And then we praise for each forward. That's how I learned. That's how I've been training. We had the owner of the property out with us, and she came out. She wanted to try the splash pad with one of her horses. And she had a different way to do it. And the cool thing is watching her, she was very successful in getting her horse across the splash pad. Now, there is not a right or wrong. She wasn't right and I wasn't wrong. We were both trying to teach this other person and kind of coach in the way that we had learned. And as I was directing, walk across the middle, keep, if he stops, that's okay. You stop too, but keep that pressure. He will release the pressure by moving in. Release it and reward as soon as he takes that energy. His energy just shifts forward. Just release and reward. And then if he takes a step, release and reward. So the owner of the property and I were very much the same on any shift forward, any movement, we're releasing and rewarding. But remember this person that I was with? Like, she was subconsciously pulling him off the splash pad because she was scared. And so when I realized, like, she's pulling him sideways, like, he's not going to go across because his signal is to go sideways. We do this subconsciously to our horses all the time. We think we're signaling one thing, but our bodies are actually signaling something different. Side tangent. So this other person, Stephanie, who's an incredible horsewoman, so she said, go stand in the middle. And that's how she worked with her horse. She stood in the middle. She's same thing, rewarded energy, any energy or movement or step forward. But her goal in that moment was not to get, and I am putting my own brain into her goal, right? Not to get him necessarily across, but to get him okay with standing on. My goal was to get Denny across. Now, the interesting thing is with this particular person, because she was subconsciously kind of moving him off, having her stand in the middle and just inviting him to just step on worked beautifully. It absolutely worked. It wasn't a tactic that I had ever seen, even thought about, and wouldn't even know to coach. But it was the perfect tactic for the moment. And so when I had struggled with even Denny kind of coming over the bridge, the coach that I worked with was do the pressure, keep her straight, don't give her another option. She shouldn't know that she can go sideways. She shouldn't know that she can go backwards. Keep her forward, have that pressure, keep her forward, release the pressure if she goes right, but we're not letting her go backwards and we're not going sideways. Stephanie had a whole different way to do it. It was like, stand in the middle and let's get you to just come step on it with me. And I'm going to give you treats and give you treats and give you treats. And so as I first stood there, it was like in my internal stories, like she's telling me I'm wrong because I was coaching this other person first. She's telling me I'm wrong. Like, then it's that internal story of, am I wrong? I feel like I have to like prove that I'm not wrong. And I'm also incredibly aware of my internal dialogue. And so this is going on in my head as I'm watching, right? I don't want to be wrong. I want to be the smart one. I want to be the one that does it the best. I want to be the one that everybody looks up to. I want to kind of be the know-it-all. Oldest daughter, oldest granddaughter, right? So I had to catch my internal story. I had to say, wait, Stephanie is not telling me I'm wrong. She's giving another option. And that other option was exactly what this other trainer was needing. And so many times, I think we get into our own stories and we take offense at something that had no intention around it and behind it. It was just, I had my internal story of whatever it was, right? And and it's one of the things I think that we do so frequently that we have to let go of, at least me, is that I put intent behind people and horses' actions. And with horses, they do not have the prefrontal cortex to have the thought process to say, I'm going to piss you off. I'm going to do this just to. They don't have that capability. So I can put intent behind an action, or I can take the action for face value. So with this circumstance, I could put the intent behind Stephanie stepping in and coaching this person in a different way and say that she was saying I was wrong and she is better. Or I could look at the action for face value. This is what worked for her and her horse, and she's sharing it, which is exactly what I was doing. There wasn't any intent. I created the intent. And I can do that with Denny. So with Denny with the bridge, we had a little mini battle over the bridge. And this is, as I'm going through, I'm learning. So I really did horses in the 80s and 90s, and think about parenting in the 80s and 90s. And we have a very similar, like, you do it. And I know my dad asked when I was telling him about the bridge, he's like, did you win? And that was very much you don't let the horse win, you are the one that wins. It's the belief system, right? That's what he learned. That's what he taught. That's what still runs inside my head. And so we have this bridge. Denny has always had a little issue with the bridge. She doesn't love it. And she also has some sass. She is a sassy girl, and she has her own opinions and she has her own attitudes. And I think it's awesome and fun and funny. Most of the time, it's like, she's so much like my daughter. It's hilarious. And my daughter, like, literally chose her. She's probably her heart horse. It's hilarious how much personality they are the same. And, right, I'm putting it on intent, and I'm humanizing the horse, which can get you in trouble because horses aren't humans and they don't think like humans. So back to, we have this bridge. And the first time I tried to get over the bridge, I tried a little bit more like, we're going to have pressure. You're going to go over. There's not an option, right? She hadn't seen anybody go over the bridge. And it kind of blew up in my face. Like, she had a big kind of tantrum and it didn't go and I didn't get her over. And then I have the horse won, which is not true. Right? There isn't a win. This is a learning experience. And I can either teach her that I respect her boundaries and she's like, I'm not comfortable with this and I can work with that, or I can force it. So I backed off and I went and talked to my mentor, Amy Budd, and she's incredible. And she helped me. And I came back to the bridge. And we worked with Denny in the bridge in a different way. Still kind of that same come on, run pressure. But what I realized I was missing the ability for Denny to stand. I hadn't broken down the parts of the bridge. Can we stand? Can we step up? Can we, like the things that she needs to know before we're jumping to it. So I worked with just standing in front of the bridge. Here we are standing in front of the bridge. We're okay. Here's your treats. Good girl. Stand. And we go. So we stop the anticipation that the bridge is a bad thing. And we worked to go over the bridge. Now, yesterday, I have Denny out and we're going over the bridge. And we go over, we walk up, we stand on it. She does great. We do treats. She steps off. Like, she's done the bridge a million times. So then we went and played in the trailer with Porter. Got him in the trailer. He's doing phenomenal. He's in by himself. And then we're going back to the paddock and we have to walk past the bridge to go back to the paddock. And so I'm like, I want a picture of her standing on the bridge because, like, she did so good. So we walk up to the bridge and she jumps it. Like, literally clears it, not a hoof on. She's not scared of it, right? She's saying, no, I'm done. I'm stressed. I don't need this. I shouldn't have pushed. If we're talking about the 13 rabbits, I shouldn't have asked for the bridge one more time. Being in the trailer and doing that trailer work was a lot for her. I don't need to do the bridge again. I just wanted to. And in that moment, I could be like, the different thought process, I'm going to let her win if I walk away. Or we've hit 13 rabbits and she's done and I need to quit. And that's where I went, which is a change in my training from the very beginning. And I think that's what we need to do when we're training horses, when we're working with kids, when we're working with dogs, when we're working with other humans, is have that flexibility that there isn't a right way, that it's situation-based, that it is continually a moving or living document, right? And as moms, we do this. Everything is living. Everything is moving. That's why we can't give our husbands a list of like what to do. They can do the tasks, but we're constantly cataloging and shifting and moving with the living document, with the moving parts of this experience of life. And so that's what I did with Denny. It's like, okay, I'm going to let go of some of my thought processes in like, I'm going to let her win, and this is going to be an issue, and say, we're hitting 13 rabbits. She's done. She's maxed out. We need to leave it on. We didn't need to be done. And so I think it comes back to that flexibility in we can do different, and it's not always one way. And there isn't just one way to be right. And I guess, like, as I'm listing all the things I've talked about, also not putting intent behind, because I could easily have said, she's being a brat. Her intent was to piss me off. She was being like, she knew I wanted that picture and she was being mean. She was being a brat. She was pissing me off. Like, no, she was done and didn't want to do it. Look at the behavior at face value, not the story around it and behind. And I think as we look at that, and I've looked at that with my kids in behaviors, that there's not the intent behind. My biggest struggle is that there is not intent behind some of my husband's behaviors, because I will take that and say, like, something that he does, and I put the intent behind it when there's no intent. And it's just taking the behavior at face value. Anyway, I want to thank you for being here. I want to wish you all the happiness today can bring. I'm so glad you're on this journey with me. And I got to tell you, this has been an incredible journey for me. I am so thrilled in myself that I took that leap of faith that I could train a Mustang when I had no fucking idea what I was doing. And that it has brought me back to the me that I love. That the little girl who grew up as a horsey girl, like, I have found that that is me and that is who I want to be. And I let her go for a decade. And I'm so glad I'm back, because I am happiest when I am in a sports bra and dirty jeans and I'm sweaty and gritty and out with a horse and loving every minute of it. And I want you to take my story and say, I can do it too, with whatever it is that you let go of because life happens, that is really, truly who you are. And as I look at things, I'm like, that's why things didn't feel like they were working out for me, because it wasn't me. It wasn't being a big Mel Robbins personality. While that looks amazing and was my goal, isn't who I am. I really belong out with the horses, and we'll see how the career shifts and molds around that. I've got so many ideas, and I know I'm happiest and I'm most me when I am out with a horse. So I want to thank you for being here. I hope this journey inspires you, and I will talk to you on the next episode. Hey, before you go, just a little bit of legal. This podcast is designed for educational purposes only. It is not to replace any expert advice from your doctors, therapists, coaches, or any other professional that you would work with. It's just a chat with a friend, me, where we get curious about ideas, thoughts, and things that are going on in our lives. And as we're talking about friends, if you know someone who would benefit from the conversation today, please share. Because I think the more that we open up these conversations, the more benefit we all get. So until next time, give yourself a big hug from me and stay curious, because that's the fun in this world.